sorry. I'll explain in just a moment. Dawn, you know what? I'm going to change this to, take a deep breath. I had a personal emergency. I brought my phone with me, planning on launching the meeting while out and about. And I just got the new phone this week and none of the passwords were saved and I couldn't get in and I couldn't get a hold of anybody else to come in and do this for me. So to drive all the way home like a maniac, and I can't even believe y'all are still here. So thanks for hanging out and sticking it out. Dawn, you are welcome to join me on stage. You can simply click on your camera and your microphone and you'll be here with me. Hang on just 1 second before you do that. I'm going to do some quick introductions and then we'll just go ahead and dive right in. And I am so sorry to everyone. Please, please forgive me. All right. Welcome to the Inventors Association of Arizona. If this is your first time joining us, my deepest apologies. I am always on time. It just never happens. This was unpreventable. I did everything that I could to fix it. I couldn't even find somebody to fill a gap. So I'm really, really sorry. Normally we are every first and third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you're using this platform for the first time, on the right-hand side, you'll see that's where you can post your questions in the public chat. If you click on Q&A mode, there's a little tab right here that says Q&A mode. You can click in there to ask your questions. Otherwise, stay in public just to add comments if there's anything that you'd like to share with us tonight. And that's how you can participate. When we're all done, we'll open it up for questions for Dawn. We are a 501c3 nonprofit corporation formed to educate, support, and provide centralized source of information for all inventors at every level. We have experienced and aspiring inventors, and I don't want to take up too much time with all of this mumbo jumbo since we're so late. Suffice it to say, we're here to support you every single step of the way on an informational, educational, and networking basis. We do this with 2 monthly meetings, the public meeting, which is the first Wednesday of the month, always at 6 p.m. We have a keynote speaker like we do tonight with Don Skaggs. And then the second meeting of the month is closed door for members only. It's held the third Wednesday of every month, and you have to have an NDA on file, and our confidentiality is strictly enforced. This is where we get to talk about our ideas openly, and we need to create a safe space for that. It's like a think tank, so you can share your ideas, get suggestions, share resources, and any specific individual help that you might need along the way. Membership is $200 a year for an individual, and as you can see here, we have discounts for additional members as well as senior active military, and renewing is always only $150. If you'd like to do that, you can go to azinventors.org. Okay, so that concludes that. Dawn, if you click on your microphone and click on your camera, look how red my face is.
It's all good. It's all good. We're here.
I was my daughter and her personal, my grandkids actually is what it was related to. But anyway, and then I'm like, I can't get in. I was panicking. I couldn't think straight because I didn't know how to work through it.
Oh, no worries. We are here, and we're happy. I'm just happy to be here. I don't know about anybody else, but I'll bet they are too. So
you are a pro, and you're generous and gracious. This was important to me, Dawn. I'm very grateful to have you. Dawn is the founder of. I'm sorry, Dawn. I'm so out of wits. The name of your club is
the Inventors Network Kentucky.
The Inventors Network Kentucky. So they run a group very similar to ours. They're much bigger and very involved in helping grow the group, in fact, throughout the state, which is something that we have done in the past as well and look forward to enjoying more of in the future. And he also helps inventors on his time. He's got a company. And so I'm looking forward to everything that you have to say tonight about that, Dawn. And with that, I'm going to hand it off. I'll get off stage here. I'll mute myself just to remind everybody. Thanks for asking, Cheryl. It's just, yeah, thank you. I can't, I'm not comfortable sharing her personal stuff, but it was very unfortunate, and it'll be okay. At least it appears that everything's going to be okay. It's just timing was not good. And normally my phone works just fine, but I bought a new phone and then I couldn't get in. And Okay, so there you go. I'm not going to waste any more time.
Technology works great until it doesn't, right?
I just didn't even think about that. When I took off, I wasn't thinking other than I'll just do it on my phone. I wasn't thinking much more than that because I just needed to go deal with the issue. So I'm going to come off screen. It'll be all yours. You can share by hitting the red button at the bottom center, and that'll share your screen.
Good deal.
Anyone who's just joining us, just add your questions over here on the right. And then when we're all done, is it okay, Dawn, if I come back on with you and I'll help you field those questions?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I will see you on the flip side.
All righty. Good deal. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. I really, really appreciate this opportunity and the opportunity to get to talk to everybody tonight, this evening, whatever time it is in your time zone. I'm going to share my screen and let's see. Now it's time for me to do my magic. Let's see. Can everybody see the screen that says Inventor Entrepreneur Essentials for Success? Not yet. Okay.
You have to, when you click on the red button and then you get the options, you have to select which screen you want to share and then hit the button that says okay or share screen. I don't remember which.
Okay. Select window or screen.
Yeah, it says share, and then there's a green share button at the bottom right-hand corner.
Screen share button in the bottom right-hand corner.
First, you have to hit the red button in the bottom center on our stage right here.
Okay, got it.
So click that.
Got it.
And then you have your entire screen or application window.
Got that.
And then you pick the one you want to share.
Yeah, it says you are sharing another application window. Stop sharing. I wonder which one it has me sharing.
Do you have multiple monitors?
I do.
So that's probably what the problem is.
Okay.
Just drag it and bring it over onto the monitor that you're on right now. That should fix it.
Okay.
I'll stay here.
Oh, my enable screen sharing. Oh, there we go. We're back. My button is red again. So let's do this again. Or I'll tell you what, I'll put it on this screen. See if it lets me do it this way. Microsoft PowerPoint. Wow.
Can I just say while you're doing that, I am amazed that y'all stuck around. You didn't have access, right? You were just in the green room?
Yeah. I was.
I can't believe everyone stuck around that long. I mean, God bless all your patience. I know it's going to be worth it.
All right. So I still can't see it, I'm guessing, right?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. We're going to try this one more time. And I think I know what I need to do. Screen 1, screen 2. Okay, either you're going to see my PowerPoint or you're going to see a picture of me and my wife on vacation.
I'm sure it's lovely.
Grand Canyon, which is okay.
Okay, we definitely, yep, it's your wife, you and your wife.
Okay.
Lovely
All right.
picture.
So that's not the one I wanted. Let's see. Let me see if it lets me change it now. Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay, it's not letting me change it, is it?
Mm-mm.
Gosh, that is just bizarre. Okay.
If you want to email it to me, I'll pop it up and I'll run through it.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
You wanna run the
yeah, I'll run it for
slides?
you. I'll be your engineer.
I can do that. All right. Let's see.
I'll be your Leo.
Yeah, everybody needs a Leo.
Yeah,
I kind of always say that. Everybody needs a Leo. Let's see. I am going to. How many? I'm going to send you a I'm going to share, copy the link.
You can put it right in the chat if you want, or you can email it.
Oh yeah, I could put it in the chat, couldn't I? Can I put it in the chat for
Bottom right-hand corner.
Bottom right-hand corner.
Where it says type your message.
Okay, it's going to be a Dropbox link.
Got it. Okay, while I'm grabbing that, if you want to do an introduction.
Yeah, sure. Sorry about that, folks. That's what happens when technology doesn't work when you want it to.
And it only doesn't work when you're already having a crisis.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So anyway, I'm Don Skaggs. Little bit about me. I am an inventor, entrepreneur, kind of a lifelong inventor, entrepreneur, really. Now a mentor, coach, consultant. I bootstrapped a company out of a farmhouse back in the early 90s. It's going to tell them how old I am. In the early 90s, I bootstrapped a company out of all things, a farmhouse in eastern Kentucky, in rural Appalachia, a place where you're not supposed to bootstrap a high-tech startup business. And nobody told us any better, so we actually ended up doing that and started that in that farmhouse. And we made specialty products for the pathology laboratory industry. Our claim to fame was a product that would irreversibly change formaldehyde to 100% non-toxic material in less than 15 minutes. And yes, that was my elevator pitch for it that I can still remember. Anyway, we didn't stay in the farmhouse long. We grew out of that and grew it into a business, had a factory, employees, grew it 23 years. In 2014, we sold it to a company out in Texas. And I was kind of done with the world of pathology. But in the beginning, like I said, we bootstrapped. I loaded samples up to a little 1991 Mercury Tracer wagon and went around from hospital to hospital, seeing if people were going to buy this stuff. And we grew it from there. So kind of been there, done that. So now, and in the early 2000s, I actually found this organization in Kentucky, in central Kentucky, that helped inventors and entrepreneurs. And I found that I had a real passion for helping inventors and entrepreneurs. You put the chairs away after the meeting long enough, they end up putting you in charge. And that's kind of how I wound up doing that. And after that, I had one of those what's next for me moments after we had our exit and sold the company. And I really found that this is what I want to do. I want to help other inventors and entrepreneurs. And so we do that, and we do that a lot like you guys do in Arizona. We have 3 meetings a month now. We have what we call our open meeting on the first Tuesday of the month. I will talk a little bit about that in a minute because there's something coming up. We're inviting other inventor groups too. But we have what we call our workshop, which is kind of like your think tank. I love that name, by the way, think tank. And then we're doing some live streaming thing now on the second Friday of the month as well on YouTube. So where we just kind of hang around and talk. We call it Inventor Friday. So anyway, stay pretty busy with that. I have a YouTube channel. If you're ever interested in watching one of them, it is called Empowered Inventing TV. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. I post them on LinkedIn. They're just about everywhere I can put them pretty much. But we usually put out a new video every week. It's just me kind of talking about some topic along the lines of inventing or entrepreneurship. Everything from what was the coolest drawing in patent drawing history to feature creep to I think the last one we put out last Friday was your product's pitch should be like your favorite song. So we just kind of talk about they sound like weird, odd topics, but we have some hopefully some good lessons that can be learned for inventors and entrepreneurs. And like I said, on the first Tuesday of the month, we like to really be supportive of other inventor groups and other organizations. And a few times a year now, we've been doing something where actually Leo had the name Mixer, a inventor group Mixer. I had the name Super Group. I think Mixer is winning out over the name Super Group, but anyway, on March the 7th, we are going to have a what we call an inventor group mixer, and it's not just inventor group leaders getting together. It's all the inventor groups, the leaders, their members, and we're going to showcase you guys. And so the folks from Arizona get to meet the people from Florida, get to meet the people from DC, get to meet the people from Texas, and it's just a really, really cool way for people. Oh, there we go. I'm up. I'm in.
I am unable to open PowerPoint, so
okay. No worries.
I'm going to have to do it from here for you.
No worries. We can do that.
All right. So you let me know what to do.
Yeah, if you just want to advance a whole bunch of slides until you get to one where you see what looks like a YouTube video. That's where I was. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So yeah, that's some of the videos right there. And actually you can advance it one more. And I think that's one of the ones we did recently. It was some inventors I met up in Michigan that had a really cool new product. And I talked about that a little, and I talked about not just what they invented, but how they went about it. And I thought that was just kind of really, really neat. So you can go to the next slide. And there we go. There's the inventor group mixer. Again, it's just kind of like what I was saying. It's just inventor groups from all over. And we'd love, if you are interested, it is free for every inventor group member. That so if you're a member, ask Lisa, and because we're sending the inventor group leaders, we want the inventor groups and their members to join us for that. So if you're interested in doing that, just let Lisa know. So let's move on to the next slide.
There we go.
There we go. All right. So I want to talk to you tonight about essentials for success. Really, and I'll talk to a lot of inventors over the years, a lot of entrepreneurs. You can go to the next slide. And I'll see different kinds of inventors, and really different. Usually, people that are either in a different step of the process, or they're having difficulty with one thing or another. And so I want to kind of just throw the question out to you. It's a rhetorical question. Just want you to think about it. What kind of inventor am I? What kind of inventor are you? You can go to the next slide.
Theoretically, there it is.
There we go.
Now, of course, my computer's having a stroke.
No worries.
You can bury us together.
There we go. So one type of inventor I do come across a lot, and I always hate to see this, is what I call the toss the keys inventor. And that's the one that thinks all they have to do is have one meeting with one Mr. Big, and they're going to write them a check for $1 million for their scribble on a piece of paper of their idea. And you don't have to do anything yourself. And that can be really, really problematic, because usually if you have a toss the keys, and usually if you're tossing the keys to someone, you're also tossing your wallet and a lot of your money. Those people can be fall victim a lot of times to what we call inventor scam companies. And there's, just like every other profession, just like every other industry, there's good players and there's bad players, and there's some bad players out there, and in the ones you have to watch out for usually, and I don't point at any particular group or any particular person. What I do is tell you what they do. If by their fruits you'll know them, is kind of my philosophy with this, because a lot of times these inventor scam companies. I remember one in Florida not too many years ago that the Federal Trade Commission found them out and closed them down. That doesn't always happen, by the way. Some of them stay in business. They rake in tons of money. They have tons of money for advertising. You'll see them all over radio and TV. They'll come up in the first few Google searches usually. And what they'll do is they'll hound you. And they prey on your fear and your greed. They'll say, now, if somebody's going to steal this if you don't send us another $500 so we can get this special next thing for you. And they prey on things like that. And usually at the end, the statistics tell us that a lot of inventors will end up spending up to $10,000 on companies that were the return is pretty much nothing. So and that's why I always say, if you have that toss the keys mentality, it's you've got to be part of it. Next slide, please. No one is going to care more about your invention than you. You might think, if I just throw enough money at this, you can't expect what you don't inspect first. Next slide. Another type of inventor I see is the ones that want to do it all themselves. And I see this a lot, where it's like, okay, I want to do it all. I want to do everything. And they wear themselves out. And they usually also are about as successful as the toss the keys guy. Next slide. And that's because doing it all yourself is only going to take you as far as your own core competencies. You need other people. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Next slide. And another inventor I come across is the ones that just don't know what to do. And they're like, I don't know what to do, Don. And usually they fall victim to analysis paralysis. It's like, okay, I just don't know what to do. So they do nothing. And they just kind of let everything just sit there. Next slide. So if you have no specific timeline, if you don't have goals, you can easily get just stuck in that one place. I think I have a picture of that in the next slide. And this is what I see a lot of inventors ending up doing. Next slide. So we teach one thing that we call idea steps. And anybody who would like this, be happy to share it with them. And that's where you just take kind of step-by-step approach. I have a lot of inventors that the first thing they want to do is rush out and get a patent. And that's not necessarily the first step that you take. Now, these are fast steps, and they should be fast iterations. But you should pick one idea, and that's a very, very important step. You should write it down, which is something happens when you write things down, when you put things to paper. Something happens to your idea when you do that. It changes you, and it changes the aspect of your idea. The next thing that you should do is frankentype it. And you say, well, Don, what is a frankentype? Well, actually, we talk about prototypes in two different things. I talk about two different kinds of prototypes that we teach. The frankentype and the demo type. The frankentype is where you have snuck out to the graveyard of broken products and spare parts. You've used glue sticks and duct tape. And the end result is a prototype that only an inventor could love. It is really ugly. But you've proved it works to yourself. You've built it, and you haven't spent a lot of money. I had a guy in one of our workshops one time told us, said, Don, I've got this idea, and I can't tell you what it was because it was at the workshop, and those are protected. But it was a box, and it did something really, really cool, but it was a box. And he said, I've got some people that are going to build me my very first prototype, and they're only going to charge me $5,000. And I looked at him and I said, I am begging you, do not spend $5,000 on your first prototype. First thing it's going to do is break. And you're going to look at it and you're going to say, I didn't know it was going to do that. Or you're going to say, I didn't know it wasn't going to do that. And guess what? You're going to build another one now. How many times do you want to spend $5,000 to do that? So you build a Frankentype. Frankentype proves to one person that it works, you. A demo type is when you pretty it up and you prove it to other people. So that's why we kind of separate the prototypes for that. Then you learn how to make it. In other words, can this be manufactured? That's if you're going the manufacturing route. Or even if you're going to the licensing route, you still, the more you know, the more you have prepped, the better chance you'll have to be successful with it. Then you get ready to sell it. That's the marketing prep. That's getting eyeball deep in everything. Then prototype it to sell it. That's a demo type. Now you're getting it all ready. You've not released anything yet. You've not shown anybody anything yet. Then you protect it with a provisional patent. Then you learn how to sell it. Market validation and pivots. Then you sell it. You could sell. You could crowdfund. You could license, and then be successful and help others. Next slide, please. So I want to talk about 5 things tonight. I'm breaking that into 2 different sections. First thing I want to talk about is 2 misconceptions that a lot of inventors have. And then I want to talk about 3 very important things. And I want to finish with those important things that elements that you really, really need to know. So next slide. And the first thing is that inventing is not get rich quick. There is no shortcut. Next slide, please. There's no shortcut to success. There really isn't. A lot of people they want to rush. They want to rush and get that patent. They think that patent's going to do it for them. They're rushing and they're not taking the time with it that they need to take. And it's not get rich quick. Inventing is a crock pot. It's not a microwave. You never microwave an idea. Next slide, please. I think of good inventing, and think about this. There's good inventing and bad inventing, and the results are self-evident. I think of good inventing as learning how making a really, really wonderful meal. And to do that, you've first got to learn how to cook. And if you don't know how to cook and you're learning how to cook, you're probably going to burn some things. You have to throw it out, and that's okay. And then maybe you get with some other people that maybe cook a little better than you. Maybe you get with compare recipes with someone, and you try some more, and you're still not real good at it, but you're getting better. You're not burning something out the second time, and then you do a little better, and you practice more, and you get better at it. And before you know it, if you're doing it consistently with focused attention long enough, you can make a scrumptious, wonderful meal for that you can share with family and friends that everyone will enjoy. That's good inventing. Bad inventing, next slide, please. Bad inventing is a microwave burrito, the bad kind you get in a convenience store. It looks bad when it's in that crusted over, iced up freezer in the back of that nasty convenience store where you found it. It smells bad when it's cooking in that nasty microwave in the back of that nasty convenience store. It tastes bad when you eat it, but you eat it anyway. Why? Because you're in a hurry and you're not thinking through what you're doing. And in both cases, bad inventing and microwave burritos, at the end of it all, you are sick at your stomach and full of remorse. Why? Because you did not take the time to do it right. Next slide, please. Another thing I want to talk about is that a patent is not an end-all of successful inventing. And again, I have a lot of inventors out there that are, they want to rush on. I've got this great idea. I just know this is good. This is going to be the next big thing. I just know it. I need to rush right now and go get a patent. How do I do that? And they always want to rush, or even when they're doing it the right way, and they're being lean about it, and they're filing a provisional patent first. They want to rush and do that. And I said, okay, have you done all these other things first? No, you don't understand, Don. Somebody's going to steal this. I just know it. And kind of reminds me of a story of when I got one of my patents. When I got a patent, and when you get a patent, and everything's by email now, but this was back in the day when the patent office, I guess they still do this, they actually mail you what they call a notice of allowance. That's patent speak for getting your patent. So I get this notice of allowance, and my wife goes to work the next day. And she's standing around with her coworkers, and she just casually mentioned, she says, well, my husband got a patent yesterday. And I'll never forget how she described the looks on their faces. She said all of a sudden they had this look of awe on their face, and their mouths dropped open. And they looked at her and they said, well, you're going to be rich. Now, of course, she laughed when they said that, and she came home and told me, and I laughed because, next slide, please, because what we both know that apparently they didn't know and no one else knew is that a patent does not mean instant millionaire. But a lot of people think that's the way it is. Oh, if I can just get that patent. No, the patent is just a property deed that you own the idea. And by the way, if you get a patent, it does not come with an impenetrable force field. A patent, a law that's been passed, a contract that you have with someone else, that does not keep bad people from doing bad things. It's going to happen. There are bad people out there, and they're going to do bad things. I think a lot of a patent as a lock on your door, basically. And you can, if you've got valuables in your house and you are wanting to not get those valuables stolen, you can purchase the most expensive. You can spend $10,000 and spend on the most expensive security system for your home. And you can take a chair and shove it up underneath the doorknob. Either way, if somebody wants your stuff bad enough and they got a bulldozer big enough, they can come knock down one of your walls, come in and steal all your stuff. It doesn't keep bad people from doing bad things. Does that say you shouldn't get a patent? No. You should do good, lean strategies that protect you. And let's say, you're doing it yourself, or you're patenting it yourself, or you're getting some assistance. One strategy I really like is where you pretend that William Shakespeare got his way and all the attorneys have died, and you have to write it yourself. Pretend like you have to write it yourself. Learn about the process, and then get as much as you can written as if you were going to have to file it yourself. And then take it to 3 attorneys. And I always tell people, if you treat attorneys like plumbers, electricians, or anything else, get 3 quotes for everything. They used to make fun of me in my business. Employees would say, oh yeah, Don, you require 3 quotes for everything. I don't care if we're buying pencils down here. So, but that's what we did. And we tell inventors do the same thing. Go to 3 attorneys and ask them, how much will it cost me for you to go through this, fix it up, and give me my best chance of getting a notice of allowance. And And I've done that. We've had inventors that do that, and you're doing several things with that. One is you're teaching, you're demonstrating to the attorney that you know what you're talking about. You've done your homework. You're not just throwing him a scrap of paper with a weird drawing on it and say, make me a patent. I don't care what it costs, because a lot of attorneys are going to say, yeah, patent's kind of like a banana. If you go into the grocery store, when you walk into the grocery store, they will give you a cart, and you can take that cart up to the produce section, and they usually got this big stand that's full of bananas, and you can fill that cart up full of bananas. And if you go to that checkout aisle, they will sell you every banana in that cart. Now, will you be able to eat all of those bananas before they rot? Probably not, unless you're making the world's largest, banana split or banana cream pie, I guess. But you are, attorneys the same way. You roll into the attorneys, I want a patent, make me a patent, I don't care what it costs. They'll say, well, yeah, we'll sell you every banana in that cart. So be lean about it, be smart about it. And again, there, inventor groups like this one, they teach you those things. They teach you how to be smart about those things. But it doesn't mean it's the millionaire. It's one step of a bigger process. Next slide, please. So now I've told you two bad things. I've told you two things like I'm jumping up and down, waving my arms like the bridge is out, trying to warn you off. I want to talk to you, as Paul Harvey used to say, wash your ears out with this, because I want to talk to you about three good, positive things. Three things that are important. If you only remembered three things that I said tonight, it would be these three things. The first one is people. People are important for inventors and entrepreneurs. Now, a lot of inventors out there, they want to kind of shy away from other people, or they're like Tom Hanks in the movie Castaway. Except some of you all don't even have a soccer ball to talk to. And you kind of want to hide it away. And a lot of times our excuse is, I'm afraid, Don, if somebody sees this, they're going to steal it. Well, let me tell you, I've had a lot of products where people have tried to steal them. I've had a lot of products copied. I've walked into trade shows where it looked like they took my literature, just moved the words and pictures around, and of patented products. And but by the way, you're infuriated, sick, and enraged all at the same time when you find that. But here's the thing. I've never had an idea stolen that wasn't already very successful in the marketplace. But a lot of us, it's like nobody knows about it, and maybe nobody would even care at this juncture. Usually they care after you're making a lot of money. Someday somebody's going to probably prove me wrong with this, but this is what I've seen, and this is what I know in my life. But a lot of times we want to kind of hide it away. We kind of want to hold it close to ourselves. We want to treat it like a baby, really. If you think about it, you gave birth to the idea. But if we were to be honest with ourselves, a lot of times we don't want to show this stuff to other people because we're afraid somebody's going to say something bad about it. Somebody might criticize, might say, well, what if you change the packaging? Or what if you move this over here? Or what if you did this? And we have this almost parental instinct to pull away and say, well, don't say anything bad about my baby. My baby's perfect. But you see, that's the problem. Because if you treat your invention like it's a baby, it's going to behave like a baby. And I don't care if it's diapers or college tuition, babies cost money. But the day that you decide that you're no longer going to treat it like a baby, but you're going to treat it like a product, that's the day it's going to behave like a product. And products have the potential of making you money instead of costing you money. So you have to get out and you have to see people. The next thing, this is an old antiquated word, and I wish it would kind of come back into popularity, and that word is wisdom. Wisdom is vitally important for inventors and entrepreneurs. And, whoops, go back one. Going too fast. Wisdom, there's an old proverb out there that says wisdom is more valuable than gold. And that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Because you put three things into an idea or a product or a business. You put time, you put money, but you put this third thing, this intangible thing called wisdom. And I don't care if you are a $9 billion multinational corporation or if you are a one-person micro business working out of your garage. I have seen both make the exact same boneheaded mistake of not acquiring the wisdom first. Because if you don't acquire the wisdom first, you'll end up pouring that time and money down the drain. Why? Because if you don't have the wisdom first, you won't know where to spend that time and that money. Next slide. Lastly, but not least, is diligence. Diligence is important for inventors and entrepreneurs. Diligence can be defined as a careful and persistent work or effort. And we teach our inventors, we tell them, we say, you make an appointment with your invention. Just like it's an appointment with a doctor or an attorney, you make a promise to yourself on purpose on paper. You say, all right, on Thursdays between 6 and 9 p.m., I am putting down the remote, I am putting down the phone, I am putting down the video app, the TikTok, I'm getting up off the couch, and I am working on my invention. But you see, it's easy to do that when you're hearing a talk like this, or you're at one of these meetings, or you've been to an event, or maybe you've met with Lisa and you're all boosted up, you're ready to go. But I'm talking about that hot day in July or that cold day in February, where you come home, let's say it's the hot day in July, and boy, you just had a rough day. At where you work, and that job that you really would rather be making money doing this than be at that job, and you get home and you're like, oh gosh, I'm just not feeling it. And you know what? I'm going to set this down. I'm going to set this. I know I promised myself tonight I was going to work on my invention. I'm going to set this down right here. And you know what happens next, right? I'm going to set it right here, and I promise now that next week I'm going to get back to it. Next week happens, something else comes up, and then the next week. Before you know it, months have wheeled by. Before you know it, it's Thanksgiving, and it's time for family and friends. And if at the end of it all, if you're anything like me, you're reared back in a recliner full of turkey. And your spouse comes up to you, and my wife would come up to me and say those three wonderful little words, honey, would you? And in this case, it was go out in the garage and get the Christmas decorations out. Let's put the Christmas decorations up. So you get up, and you go out to that basement, that attic, that garage. And there you come across it. There it is, that invention that you were so excited about all those months ago. And you pick it up and you look at it. And for just a moment, you have that feeling all over again. And you say to yourself, I could do something in this. I could change my life. I could change my legacy, my future with this thing. I just know I can. And at that point, you have to decide, are you going to really, really do something? Or are you going to sit it back down and always wonder what could have been? Why? Because people are important, and wisdom is vitally important, and diligence is important for inventors and entrepreneurs. And that's about it. Next slide, or next couple of slides. One more slide. That's one of the websites we've got, Power Inventing Academy, and I'm open for questions.
So I'm going to go back to the screen really quick of your contact information. I'm going to leave that up while we're talking.
Great. And I could put my email in the chat too.
So what will people find at empoweredinventing.com, Don?
You can find information. We've got online courses, Empowered Inventing Academy. We've got, I've got coaching that I do as well.
So people want to learn more.
If they want to learn more, they can go to empoweredinventing.com.
Awesome. Okay. I'll leave that up. And just for a moment, if y'all would just type in the chat, let me know if Dawn's, if you're hearing things clearly or if you're getting any static, because I'm hearing static when Dawn speaks, and I don't know if everyone is hearing that. And Dawn has just added his email. Thank you, Dawn. Drop your questions also in the chat, and I will moderate helping get those questions answered. There were a few things that really stood out. First of all, when you had me come speak they're hearing your static too. So apparently it's coming from your side, just so you know, Dawn. Okay. There's some sort of, I don't know if it's your mic or what. When the first time I heard you say Frankentype, I think I told you then, oh my God, I love that. I'm going to use it. And I've been using it ever since. It's just the coolest phrase because that's exactly what it is. We're like Frankensteining, putting things together. I'm going to turn my video back on here for folks too, which is really cool because personally, I have pitched products that were Frankentypes. That's exactly what they were. And historically, that's always been okay. I think it's even probably still okay. The challenge is the industry is changing, and I'm curious. I want to catch your feeling on this. And you muted yourself just yes, so you know.
Yeah, there we go.
Have you noticed the change in the industry with regard to the competition coming up because of programs like Shark Tank, where it's not as easy as it used to be? You kind of have to show up really with a proof of concept, or at the very least, if you're only going to do a 3D animated. So the number one question I get asked on my free coaching calls is, what's enough? Like, how much do I have to actually do for the company to make a decision? Yeah. And the answer is always the same. What does the company need to make an intelligent business decision, whether to license or not, right? So if a Frankentype is enough for them to effectively understand what the product is and how it works and believe that it'll get the job done if it was in production and it's cost effective and you've answered all those questions, then that's fine. If it's not, right, then you certainly need to do more. But I can't imagine much more than that, other than making it pretty. Like you're talking, what did you call the next stage?
Oh, the demo type.
Demo, yeah, demo.
Yeah. And it really kind of depends on the fact. And there's like phases you can kind of get. And again, I'm wanting them not to spend a tremendous amount of money on the first one, just because, okay, you're proving to yourself. Because some of the vendors, sometimes it's like they'll put together they'll put together the first prototype, and then they'll go, I didn't know it wasn't going to work. It worked great in my head, and sometimes it doesn't work just like you think it is. I've had that happen to myself a lot of times. It's like, I could have swore that was going to work. You know, I saw that in a cartoon once, and it really, really worked well in the cartoon, but apparently it doesn't work in real life. So
because it's all theory.
And here it made perfect sense. So a lot of times I want them to do that, you know, take $20 and go to Lowe's or Home Depot and just put this together. It's going to be ugly. Maybe you don't want to demonstrate it just yet, but if it's humming, once you get it moving and humming, and you're like, okay, I made these 5 iterations that only cost me, you know, $30 or $40 or $50, whatever, you know, as cheap as you can keep it, depending on what it is. You know, there's always scale to that, but now you've kind of got it humming, and you're like, okay, it's not going to break or embarrass me if I'm demonstrating. So I've proven to myself this is working. Now it's time to pretty it up. You know, just you put a little makeup on it. You know, just fix it up a little, make it look pretty, make it kind of look attractive, ready for the dance. And now you take it out, because presentation is optics, and you're right. I mean, we're in a very, very optics driven. They want to see a video. Like, can you send me? Yeah, a lot of times, just send me the link to the video demonstrating. And it's like, oh, you mean you want to see it work? And it's gotta look good. Yeah.
What I usually say to folks is, well, I can make an animated video of me flying. That doesn't mean anyone's going to believe I can fly. So if it's a really simple product, in animation, because it's obvious from looking at it, you put these parts together, it does that job, then that's probably a proof of concept. You're probably good enough. Absolutely. But very often we are inventing a solution to a problem. me say it this, well, very often people are inventing solutions to problems without actually inventing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the challenge, right?
That goes back to picking the right idea. And I apologize. I'm trying to figure out how to do my audio.
Maybe if you turn the audio sound down just so, I don't think it's going to make, I think it has to do with your connection or your mic. I'm not sure which, but it's okay. I'm getting most of it. If you can fix it, that's great. But if not, I certainly don't want to disrupt this meeting any more than I already have, which, by the way, one of the things that came to me while you were talking, this is an iterative process. So you want to fail fast, right?
Yes.
And people, folks, listen, if you didn't catch anything, like the whole point of doing a Franken type and then a demo type, if that it ends up being the path that you need to take for your invention, is that failure is part of our process. We want to fail. You know, we're raised to believe that failure is awful. Oh my God. But have you ever seen somebody who is maybe a chemist who's putting together a new medicine and has an idea? It always starts off as a theory. In theory, this makes sense in my head, but I need to prove it. So they test and experiment. Do you think that at the end of the day, when it doesn't work, they're going, oh my God, it's the end of my life? And they certainly don't pitch it to their bosses until they've proved it works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm really glad we didn't demo it like that when it fell on the floor and
exactly.
You know, or you're doing one of these demos and if something doesn't work and you know the inside joke I always used to use with our sales reps was yeah, that's where you have to say, imagine if you will, imagine if it actually did this. So I can't show it right now, and those usually don't end well either. But yeah, you demonstrate, you practice. So it's just like your pitch. I'm coaching some high school kids with a program right now that are all doing product pitches, and it's fun to watch them. And they it's all kinds of different products and stuff. But the thing I had to tell them is you have to practice. You get because Don, I'll be all nervous. Not if you practice 100 times. If you throw a ball up, try to hit it with a bat the first time, you've never done it before, you're probably going to miss it. But if you do it 1,000 times, you'll probably be hitting it pretty well.
Consistently.
So same thing with pitch.
Right. Kevin says Franken type is putting in the proof. I love it.
Love it.
LOL. Doug says, I'm working on a Franken prototype, Franken type. I figured the next thing was to get a CAD and plastic company to, and I'm guessing the rest of that is actually build it. Is that how far does someone need to go would be the question. I think that would be helpful for everyone.
I think you have to watch your budget, and there's a lot of ways to do things where you don't have to. And again, I am a original bootstrap inventor entrepreneur. So we started with literally nothing. I mean, we just kind of cobbled stuff together and went out to these hospital laboratories and with samples in the back of a little car and kind of acted like we were this big marble hall place selling stuff. But we didn't have the resources. And here's actually another good point of that. I have seen startups that have been well funded, and I have watched them crash and burn because they had too much money in the beginning. Before and again, they had the whole cart and horse thing turned around. They were they had money. They had not got to acquire the wisdom first, and all the money they had in the beginning. Oh, well, let's try this. We got money for it. Well, let's try this. We got money for it. And all those fails that they were supposed to have became very expensive ones, to where if they had a small budget. So even if you start with a lot of money, don't act like you're starting with a lot of money, because those fails have to be super, super cheap, because you'll keep going through them until you get to that one where you're, aha, I've got it, it's working, everybody loves this now, it's working really well now, it's not overly complicated, we fixed this one thing after all of these fails. Boy, I'm really glad we didn't spend $10,000. But not having a lot of money, and this is another piece to it, is if you're saying, well, Tom, well, that's no problem here, I've got a lot of money to start with, that could actually be a good thing. Not starting with a lot of money can actually be a blessing in disguise, because it is forcing you to be nimble, and because you're going to compete with people that have more money than you. But guess what? They don't have your creativity.
Yeah.
This another thing I say about the copycats is that the copycats. It was funny. We had multinational billion-dollar corporations trying to copy our product. One of the products, and we kind of laughed.
Can you tell us just a little bit more about that product? Because you mentioned it earlier when you were.
It was called formaldehyde neutralizing dry mats, which is probably the most boring name.
Ron, do me a favor. Sit back. Let's see if you're further away from the mic.
How about that?
Oh, it is better. It's not gone, but it is definitely better. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry, no worries. Yeah, sorry, it's not. I've never had problems with this microphone before until today.
It's like there's a static robot talking. Everything that you say, it says it like a second behind you.
Oh my goodness.
You'll hear it in the recording.
Oh goodness. Sorry guys. Sorry folks.
It's one of those times.
So anyway, we had this product that was, again, it's really boring to tell it or explain it, but it basically, we had a product that would render formaldehyde non-toxic pretty much in there. And that was our big flagship. We had probably 150 products when we were done, but all in different areas of that section of the laboratory. But this was kind of our big product. And we had people try to copy us, and it's funny, the bigger they are and the more well-funded they were, they lacked the creativity to copy us very well. And that was the funny thing about it, because it's like, okay, they thought it was a good idea to put, so this was a mat that absorbed formaldehyde and neutralized it. And they decided to put a plastic cover on it, which did not work. And then they tried to solve that problem and started getting a lot of complaints. They said, we're going to poke pinholes in it. That didn't really work either. And so, we always stay, and here's the other thing, is we always stay one step ahead of them. While they were trying to copy our first launch, we were already working on the next thing, the next product, next version. So the thing that we had that they did not have was creativity. If they were truly as creative, and this is how you have to think about your copycats, if they were truly as creative as you were, they wouldn't be copying you. So if you can take that superpower and just keep using it. A lot of people are like, okay, I've done my invention part and I'm done with that, and they leave the creativity at the door. No, take it with you. It's the whole process. Through the research process, through the build process. You'd be amazed at that, what the creativity will do for you when you're trying to solve a problem of, okay, well, this isn't working. The customer doesn't seem to like this. How can I fix it, change it, to make them love it? And or in the sales process of, okay, what's going to make their eyes light up versus what's not? What's going to make their eyes light up in the pitch? That's not. What's going to land that licensing deal? What makes that connection? How can I get hold of these people? If you take that creativity you have, come up with your idea, and apply it to these other pieces of the process, you would be amazed at what it would do. I have one of these little superpowers of finding materials, sourcing materials. And again, they used to just always make fun of me in my always make fun of me in my business who knows what's going to come through the door next for free, because John's been on the phone for an hour. Yeah. And because I would call these places.
Take just a quick break. I don't know. It's getting harder to understand you. So that's okay. Maybe just lean back a little bit. I do have a couple questions for you. So Doug was asking, I think I got the second half of the question. He said, I'm working on Franken prototype. I figured the next thing was to get a CAD plastic company to make a better prototype. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to perform. I'm thinking using Fiverr. They get stuff done in weeks. Have you any advice?
Fiverr is a cheap resource, and I have seen people do Fiverr. Is it better if I keep my voice low? Is that working better?
A little bit, not much. we're just living with, but I think it's better when
A
you.
lot of different things. So Fiverr is okay. This goes back to just another principle that I teach is don't expect what you don't inspect first.
Don't expect what?
Don't expect what you don't inspect first.
I'm going to write that down. Don't
Yeah,
expect.
I stole it from somebody else, so feel free. But you should Fiverr is a really good lean way to get stuff done. But sometimes the $20 whatever from them may be worth $1,000 to you. Sometimes it might be worth $5 too.
Or worse.
Yeah.
Right? Or worse, because you don't know any better how to measure that sell sheet they just created for you.
Yeah.
And you put that out to all the companies, and now you've burned all those bridges and they've all said no. And it really, just having done that sell sheet the right way. So what is your advice to someone who wants to use Fiverr to create a sell sheet? And then Jason, just so you know, I saw your question. We'll get to that next, I promise.
Communication. Communication is the key. Send me your address. Let me look at it. So, before you even hire them, take a look at their work. Usually, if they've got a good portfolio, if it's again, if it's for real, if you can find what they are, what they've done, or talk to people who has done work for them, or somehow communicate with them. And again, on Fiverr, sometimes communication can be hard because usually you're just sending messages back and forth. So, how
do you evaluate their skill? So before I ask the question is, how do you evaluate their skills? But, without telling you what I normally do, evaluate when there are people out there that say they do sell sheets, because sell sheet is a common word that can mean a lot of different things.
Right.
So how do you know if they know how to do a sell sheet specifically for licensing? How do you evaluate whether they are capable of even doing it? Because the way we tell our story is very, hopefully, very deliberate and has a purpose in every single element that's on that sheet. So what advice would you have for someone when they're evaluating whether someone has the skills or competency to help write that?
You have to have some of that skill competency yourself.
On your own.
And what I mean is you have to. It's just like the patent story I was telling. Pretend all the attorneys are dead, and you have to, end of the world, you have to write your own patent. And so you're writing it, pretending you're going to file it yourself, and take
right on.
And then see what each one of them say. By the way, if an attorney has a fountain in their lobby,
say that again, but a little slower, because I think that's when the static gets worse.
Sorry. So if an attorney has a fountain in their lobby, you may be paying for part of that fountain.
Right.
So I like to see the shingle guys myself. But inventor friendly, independent inventor friendly. If you're going to a large firm and they're used to doing Fortune 500 companies as clients, A, they'll probably not treat you very well, or just not want to take your business. But B, if they do, they may charge a lot more because they're used to that large price, large company mindset.
Right.
Independent. You still want to get somebody to do it. But I said it to say this is do your homework on what you want if you don't know what you want and you say, here, just build me this, make me this sell sheet, you won't know what you'll get. So
Right.
you have to have, okay, I want these deliverables. And
Right.
can you show me some examples of work you've done that show these deliverables? So, and if they ask what's a deliverable, then you might want to.
That's so good. Yeah. And in parallel to that, of course, because great minds think alike. And yes, I'm putting myself in that category. Now, life experience or wisdom has taught me that garbage in, garbage out, right? And if you ask somebody else to explain your invention, they're never going to understand the value proposition and how it competes with the competition that's out there and the cost of goods and the formula for creating a sell sheet that is meaningful to specifically companies who are interested in licensing. So if you can draft all of that and help ask them to wordsmith it, but still tell the same story with these, find me a picture that demonstrates how it sucks to have to bend over to exfoliate your feet. And then this is the picture to introduce how you never have to bend over again to exfoliate your feet. So you're really collaborating with their skills, but not asking them to become an expert in your invention to pitch it, right? Which is what I'm hearing from you. And it's consistent with what I believe also. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So Jason's asking, have you run or mentored any successful Kickstarter or crowdfunding type campaigns? It's a great question.
Yeah, we've got some successful Kickstarters that we've worked with, and then I've also worked with really big failures that have been Kickstarters. So I kind of know what to do and what not to do, and I'll tell you a great story on this one. When the engineering team walked into the meeting and said, we're going to need to raise $300,000 on our Kickstarter campaign in order to build this, I said, we're doomed. So
not that it's possible to raise 300,000. I mean,
but if you're setting that, there's a psychological thing that's going to happen, and then, there's a sweet spot. And we do a thing. It's kind of funny. We do this thing about once or twice a year now called Kickstarter Pass or Fail. And a funny story, we sort of did it for filler because I didn't want to have a speaker in January or July. Not very many people show up. So I thought, well, let's just make it a fun thing to do. Now I get asked the universities to do this stuff. So, but we actually will take several Kickstarter campaigns, play the video, we'll show the campaign, and then everybody gets to vote on, do you think they got their funding? Do you think they didn't get their funding? Why? And it's a really, but I said all that to say this. I was looking at good Kickstarter campaigns, good winning ones, and I would look at some losing ones, some really dogs out there that you'll see there's certain things that they do right, and there's certain things that they don't do right, and a lot of it boils down to preparation.
Boils down to what?
Preparation.
Yeah, boils down to preparation. That's good. So speaking of that, and by the way, folks, we only have about 10 minutes left. I'll honor your time tonight, even though I was late. I still want to get you off in time. If there is any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm just going to ask another one since there aren't any at the moment. And thank you for your comment, Kevin. You're right. It is a lot like checking references for contractors, but the difference is finding someone that understands how to tell the story. In the example that I was using specifically for sell sheets is really important. Anybody can make something pretty. That doesn't mean that it will sell, right? There has to be something meaningful about it that gets people to want to buy it. So it's a little bit more than checking those references. You talked about patents and rushing to patents, which, is very common. I loved your steps, and I could see where, sometimes you might jump something or whatever, because strategically there's no one size fits all, right? But all of those are steps to consider entirely in this process. All on board. With regard to rushing to a patent, when do you think is the right time to file, whether it's PPA or utility, or your first patent on that idea? When are you ready?
I can tell you this, there's so many inventors, and it just hurts my heart to watch it. Because I will say, don't file this yet. You've not built a prototype. You don't have your materials together yet. You've not got a demo type to show anybody. You don't have a cell.
Is that what?
You don't have a cell sheet. None of your optics are ready. So if you're filing a provisional patent, as you know, you've got 12 months to answer one question: will sell? And that's all you want to be doing in that time, because it will be the fastest 12 months of your life. You wouldn't believe the number of inventors that come to me around month 11 after they've done the whole panic talk. I got to do this. Somebody's going to steal it. I just know I got to file this right now. And then month 11 comes around, and they come back and say, Don, what do I do? It's month 11. Do you even have do you have anything in your Excel sheet yet? Do you have have you talked to your customer? No, I've not been able to do any of that yet. And I'm like, then why did you file the provisional?
So in slow, especially because of the static, just slow down a little bit. Tell me what things should be in place in your opinion before you file. We'll assume it's a PPA in this example. Okay.
I would have my optics together. All my optics, I would know that it'll work. And if you can build a prototype, build a frankentype, build a demo type. If you have your cell sheet, have a website, have that all built, not an idea, have it all built. Have all of these things in place as if, okay, on Tuesday I'm going to file my provisional patent, and on Wednesday morning I'm going to start calling customers. I'm going to start calling potential licensors. Licensees. I'm always. You know what I'm talking about. You're near the phone, you're making calls. You're getting on LinkedIn, and you're starting to. You're doing all of that stuff that you were afraid to do before you started your, before you filed a provisional patent. And now when you file it, you're ready to hit the ground. Whatever it is you're going to do to answer that question, will it sell? I think you ought to have it prepared. Now, you ought to not take 10 years to prepare. You should take 10 months or 1 month or what as fast as you can. Make them fast iterations. But you make those iterations fast as you get the nose to the grindstone, and you do all these preparations so that you file it. This is the key. It's not really what you do, it's what you're prepared for. You are prepared to hit the ground running like a starter pistol going off in a race, because that 12 months is a race, and you want to be prepared to run they say.
I'm sorry.
You
want to be prepared to say it slowly, because that's
you want to be prepared, just like the guns going off at a race, and you are getting ready to sprint, because it will be a sprint in those 12 months to answer that question. If you're going to wait to do the preparatory work, this is what happens. They're like, they file a provisional patent, and they're like, oh, the provisional patent. Okay, I'm going to sit back. I'm fine now. And 11 months will go by, and then there'll be panic in month 11. You don't know. I can't tell you how many inventors have looked me in the eye and said that. So I'm jumping up and down, waving my arms like the bridge is out, trying to warn you, don't go that direction.
Yeah. No, definitely.
But hurry when you're. Don't make it 10 years to.
No analysis paralysis, like
right,
you mentioned. Right. Exactly. Kevin's asking, should you bring sell sheets to trade shows without a PPA?
Depends on how brave you are, but I wouldn't. Again, I've never had an idea stolen that wasn't already successful in the marketplace. But I mean, you can file that PPA. It's a scary beware of dog sign on the yard. And that's what it will be. I had on the bottom of my literature, I forget how we came up with this, but instead of saying patent pending, instead of saying that, I put all products from U.S. Biotech Corporation is fully protected under patent and trademark law. And I just worded it that way just so it would be really, really, really scary if whoever read it.
Scary. Some people like scary movies. Some people don't, because I have nightmares. I cannot watch that crap. It's funny. We all have different tolerances.
And you're taking a hammer. You're putting this. You're hammering the aware of dog sign in the front yard. Is what you're doing. Now you might have a Chihuahua inside. Or a Labrador that wouldn't be petted or anything, but you are still putting that sign in the yard, and that just might make someone pause and move on to something else, and move on to another house that maybe doesn't have a board. That's why I would have in place before I went public with it. And then there's the whole thing like the public as well.
Thanks, Doug. But if Doug, thanks for your comment. But if Don mutes, try muting and unmuting. He's suggesting to see if it would reset.
Yeah.
We'll see if that makes a difference. And I'll just add, my thoughts to that. No, just kind of adding my thoughts to your question or to Don's answer. Totally in agreement with all of that. Fran Tarkington, do you remember him, the old football player?
Name
I don't know how many other people might know, but he actually, he came out of football and actually became a very successful entrepreneur. And one of the things that he was able to do is walk into some major brands and pitch them on his ideas, which, by the way, an idea is not an invention. When you come up with something in your head, it's just an idea. By definition, according to the USPTO, an idea is reduction to practice, which means it will work. It's not a theory anymore, which is why what Don was talking about with proof of concepts are so important, not just to prove to yourself, as he illustrated, but also to prove to everybody else, like he said. So he was able to walk in and sell those ideas because he was Fran Tarkington, like a Super Bowl whatever guy. He was a big fancy football player. It's possible. It is possible. Is it suggested? Probably not, because you're no one. And without that intellectual property, they have no reason to pay you for your ideas unless you've arranged something with them up front that's exactly what you were contracted or at least brought in to advise on, and then you're going to be compensated for it. So it's very dangerous, like Don was saying.
It won't keep bad things, but it will encourage.
Say it again, just a little.
So if you go in without any kind of just any kind of protection, if you go in with a PPA in place, that it won't keep bad people from having bad things, like I said before. But if you go in with no PPA, it still won't keep bad people from doing bad things, but it will probably encourage them.
Right on. Bad people are going to do bad people things. Like, it doesn't matter whether you have a patent or not. A criminal is going to steal your car or your house, like Don's analogy with the security system. It just doesn't really matter one way or the other at the end of the day. I think Don I'm guessing it. Oh, you are still there. Somehow you hit your mic and camera off. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's 8:02. So that brings us to the end of our meeting. Oh, yay, you're back. Don, thank you so much for being here. This was very helpful. Listen, for those of you, whether you're way down the path or just getting started, this is a really good strategy. These are the steps that you take. Doesn't mean you have to take every single one. Sometimes you can leapfrog. But what's really important for you to take home, and there were a ton of nuggets tonight, but when you're looking at, and because, Dawn, is it okay since you put that link in there? Is it okay for other folks to download your presentation? You're on mute still, I think. No, you're not on mute, but now you have no sound. So apparently your mic is out. Now you just have to listen to me talk. I'm so sorry. Nod your head yes if it's okay for folks to. Okay, there you go, folks. You see the link, just scroll up in the chat. You're welcome to download his presentation, and then you have all of his contact information if you'd like to talk more with Don about how he can possibly help you with your invention. The biggest takeaway I really hope you take tonight is that there is a process, but that process is unique to every single inventor and invention. Like no two companies that I've ever dealt with were the same, right? And no invention had the exact same terms and conditions. It changes. So if you understand, like Don was showing you, all of these steps that could be taken, then you understand ultimately what your options are in bringing your specific product in your specific circumstances to market based on where you're at right now. So I really hope that was helpful. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, everybody else who joined us tonight, who stuck in there with us with everything that I had in the beginning here. I'm really sorry that we got a late start. I would like to make a very special offer to those of you who came and stuck it out and didn't leave us before the end of the night. I will give you a free half-hour consultation. Any one of you, anything that you're dealing with, I want to make it up to you for wasting your time for the first 30 minutes of tonight. I'll make it good. And Don, if there's anything that I can do for you, I owe you for being here for us this evening. Thank you so much. You're a rock star. No problem was the first part. I'm not as good at reading lips as I used to, but there you go. Yeah, if you want to say goodbye to everybody in the text, you're welcome to. Don't forget, you can grab his contact information if you'd like more information. I look forward to seeing you at the closed door meeting. Anyone who's interested in joining or participating. And by the way, as a quick announcement, we will be rolling out a brand new website, which is going to set things up on an automated way so you don't have to keep renewing your membership, and have some wonderful added benefits as well. I look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks, Don. I'm seeing a lot. Patience, diligence, all good. God bless. Thank you all so much. Don, thank you. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.